Urban legends are passed down from generation to generation. They're ghost stories that we tell around campfires that spark fear in the hearts and minds of children and adults alike. From vengeful ghosts to rabid creatures in the woods to killers with hooks for a hand. Today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 bizarre urban legends you won't believe. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. Coming in at number 5, the Dog Boy. Hailing from Arkansas, the legend of the Dog Boy is one of the most infamous around the state. In 1954, Gerald Floyd Bettis, born to parents Floyd and Eileen Bettis in the Bettis house, during his early years, locals would say that the boy would catch dogs and cats and keep them in his home. However, what he was doing with these animals was absolutely horrific. However, what he was known for was the treatment of his parents. It was said that he imprisoned them in the attic, keeping them in there for years. According to reports, he abused them, but he wasn't arrested for it until after the death of his father and the continued abuse of his mother. He ultimately died in prison of an overdose, but since then people have claimed that paranormal goings-on have occurred at the former home. Flickering lights, strange noises, and moving objects have all been reported over the years. In some versions of the legend, his ghost walks on all fours and is shaggy like a dog, while in other versions he appears as a towering man donning a brown jacket and a bow tie. Coming in at number 4, we have Dudley Town. Dudley Town is an abandoned settlement in Connecticut in the United States, more commonly referred to today as Ghost Town. Since the mid-1920s, the land occupied by the village has been maintained. However, due to vandalism and trespassers, the site is no longer open to the public. Now, some history before we get into the nitty-gritty of this legend. Dudley Town was never an actual town. The name was actually given to the portion of Cornwall that included several members of the Dudley family. A local rumor has since circulated online that alleges that the founders of Dudley Town were descended from Edmund Dudley, an English nobleman who was beheaded for treason during the reign of Henry VIII. From that moment on, the Dudley family was placed under a curse which followed them to America. This curse is what was ultimately blamed for instances of crop failures and mental illness in the village. On top of that, Dudley Town visitors also report seeing paranormal phenomena such as an unnerving lack of wildlife, floating orbs of light, and sinister wolf-like black shadows. Not only that, but there is also said to be a mysterious group in the area called the Dark Forest Association that is said to police the grounds with militant force. What exactly is going on in Dudley Town? I don't really want to know. Coming in at number 3, we have the Alaska Triangle. Sometimes referred to as Alaska's Bermuda Triangle, this is a place in the untouched wilderness where people have reportedly been disappearing for years now. The triangle itself connects Anchorage, where I used to live, in the south to Juneau in the southeast panhandle, to Barrow, the northernmost town in Alaska. The area in between those points is unforgiving and a place not for the faint-hearted or inexperienced. Now, the area itself began to attract attention back in the 1970s, when a small plane carrying US House Majority Leader Hale Boggs, Alaska Congressman Nick Begich, and an aide Russell Brown vanished into thin air while flying from Anchorage to Juneau. For a month after the initial disappearance, planes, military aircraft, and dozens of boats scoured the area searching for the plane. However, nothing was ever discovered. No debris, no wreckage, nothing. Following the disappearance, more and more planes began to disappear, and on top of that, hikers also began to vanish into thin air. Since 1988, it is said that more than 16,000 people have disappeared in the Alaska Triangle, which is more than twice the national average. Now, whether this is something supernatural, extraterrestrial, or simply cruel weather conditions and harsh wilderness, we don't know. However, the disappearances have been blamed on everything from aliens to energy vortexes to shape-shifting demons. However, the likely explanation is the wilderness itself. It can be truly unforgiving, and Alaska is big, most of it is untouched wilderness. Lots of bears to eat ya. Coming in at number 2, we have the Alice killings. To this very day, the Alice killings remain one of the most bizarre and unsolvable serial killings in Japan's history. Between the years of 1999 to 2005, a series of killings supposedly took place. Killings that were completely different and unrelated except for one common element, a calling card that the killer left behind each time. He would leave behind a playing card which varied from killing to killing. It would be left at each scene in an obvious location, and on the card would read Alice written in the victim's blood. According to the legend, the first victim of Alice killings was Sasaki Megumi. She was a 29-year-old restaurant owner who one day decided to walk home from a friend's house, seeing as she lived only a block away. Several people offered her a ride home, but she refused. She was seen leaving the party in the early hours of the morning. However, the next time she would be seen, she wouldn't be alive. The next morning, a couple walking in the woods discovered her body. She was supposedly torn apart, with the couple instantly calling the police. Inside the mouth of Megumi was a playing card, the Jack of Spades, which had the word Alice written on it. At the scene there was absolutely no prints discovered, only vomit, which the woman from the couple admitted was hers. The next victim was said to be Yamane Akio. He was a known singer in a band who was abducted from his apartment on February 11, 2001. His bandmates were the last to see him alive, with a missing persons report being filed within days. On the home security footage, a hooded figure was seen entering through a side door and leaving with a large garbage bag that bulged strangely. The person in the recording was never found or identified, but it is believed to be the same killer because, like last time, at the scene of the crime an Alice card was discovered, a king of diamonds clutched in his hands. However, in a bizarre turn of events in 2005, a Spanish serial killer was jailed for the murder of 6 people, and it was said that he would leave playing cards on the corpses of each victim as well. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have Cropsey. Now, this legend is incredibly bizarre because it ultimately turned out to be true, and there is nothing scarier than a true urban legend. Cropsey began as an urban legend, the boogeyman of Staten Island in New York City. It was rumored that this was a homicidal madman, a person who had escaped from a mental hospital who had a hook for a hand. He was said to hunt down children, drag them back to his tunnel system which lay under an abandoned hospital, and then kill them. Parents would use Cropsey to frighten their children into being good and staying close to home. He could be anywhere, so you better behave. However, parents didn't think too much of it because after all, Cropsey was just a mere legend, right? The legend continued to spiral, with the story even being turned into a movie in the 1980s called The Burning, which follows a man named George Cropsey who goes insane after a prank leaves him horribly disfigured. However, things went from bad to worse in Staten Island when Cropsey became a reality. The boogeyman came to life in the form of Andre Rand, a homicidal madman. Rand worked as a janitor at the Willowbrook School on Staten Island, a place which was said to be horrifically cruel to its students. The school was built as a respite for children with disabilities. However, after it was revealed to be a living hell, it would close its doors in 1987. After its closure, janitor Andre Rand would continue living on the grounds and was suspected of kidnapping several children. However, despite this never being proven to be true, he was found guilty of the crime, specifically one kidnapping in 1988 and one again in 2004. The legend became so infamous across the state that a movie was made about the story and Andre Rand, simply called Cropsey. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Are there any bizarre legends that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below. Perhaps we're going to do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos, top 5 scary horror movie monsters from the 2000s. McCarthy Bedell said, "Who's your favourite horror movie character?" Mine is either Ghostface or Jaws. Mine is either Freddy. I love Freddy. I love Michael Myers, and I love Carrie. Oh, and I love Annie Wilkes from Misery. Respect. That's me breaking ankles with a sledgehammer. Laser Blackfire said, "Sometimes I like to bury myself from the neck down and pretend I'm a turnip." This was really weird and unrelated to everything going on in the video, but I respect it. If that's what you gotta do, you gotta do it. Javen Albert said, "Wow, does anyone else want to see Lucy dressed as the Wicked Witch of the West?" Well, Javen, not one person liked your comment when I grabbed it, so no one wants to see that, nor do I. It wouldn't be pleasant for anyone. So you can just picture it in your head if you'd like, and that's the best you're gonna get. Cobb Video said, "There is no contest, the 80s were the absolute best. The noughties are okay, but nothing compares to the 80s. You know what? I completely agree with you. The 80s were the best, nothing will ever top it. Matthew Richard said, "Ever notice in Dead Silence when they're in the doll room there is a jigsaw doll in the room?" No, I've never seen it. White Wizard said, "My god, Queen Lucy, our goddess of darkness, so damn cute today that I can hardly breathe. Thank you for the vid, Queen Lucy." This one just freaked me out, so I included it because thanks. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, see you later. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around. Wow, I just did my outro for the intro.
See you later.
Yeah, I'm like, ended the video before it began. Aline? Nor do I really care. Just kidding. Place which was said to be horrifically Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments. 1 minute.
You guys are dead silent.